the guy who pushed time.
Back at it again. It's Monday, April 10th. It's Chapo coming at you. Hope everyone had a good Friday, a great Easter, Passover, or any religious observance.
Ramadan's going on.
Ramadan's still going on. This is the season for religion, folks. And I hope everyone's having a good time with it. Let's get into it for this week. I want to start. Look, there's only one story at the top of my head right now, and it's a continuation of last week's episode. GOP mega donor and Supreme Court purchaser Harlan Crow and his extensive art collection. Gentlemen, where would you like to begin with this? There's a lot of hilarious angles coming out of this story, including the incredible story of the Crow family of Dallas, Texas. You've got every stooge and sycophant who's on this guy's payroll in the conservative make-work industry, all loudly assuring everyone that it's a completely normal thing to have several paintings by Adolf Hitler displayed in your house, along with his tea set and linens and a signed copy of Mein Kampf. And then there's just I don't know the fact of like what do we make of all of this, because there's just too much stuff here to talk about. Where do we begin? I'll begin this way. Out of all the commentary on this, I think the funniest aspect to me is the defense of having a collection of like paraphernalia of the Third Reich and displaying it in your house as a solemn reminder of the evil that men are capable of. Because it's like, what do you do? You're walking around your house looking at Hitler's napkins, and you're just going, God, the evil that humanity is capable of. And then, like, you need to remind your dinner guests every time they come over when you're, is it? And then also the idea that, I mean, I take it for granted that right-wing billionaires all have Hitler shit knocking around their house.
Well, it's not just for me. It's not just the Hitler stuff. Like the totality of what he has is so fascinating. He's got the Garden of Evil, he calls it, which
Garden
is,
of Evil.
He's turned all of the great dictators and figures of 20th century into lawn ornaments, into garden gnomes. He is a replica of Hagrid's groundkeeper's hut from fucking Harry Potter.
Is that in the Garden of Evil?
He's got that's to remind him of all the horrors that Hagrid committed.
Yeah.
And he's also got a 50s malt shop to remembering the horrors of segregation and the Big Bopper.
Yeah.
But for me, the totality of it, when you look at all the crap he has, to me, it's like, this guy is, I'm sorry, he's not a Nazi. His head is, he has nothing in his head but fucking Rich Dad, Poor Dad books and Minions memes about the entrepreneurial spirit. That is it. He has no hollow earth theories about the origins of the Aryan race. He has no stormy visions of Aryan destiny. It's just a fucking ukulele playing moose that's like just spits out Margaret Thatcher quotes that he saw on the internet. It's just like the banality of this. Like, he looked at the horror and sweep of the 20th century that like churned up him as this like final figure of it, this like billionaire who's sitting at the end of all ideology and all of history, and just like, I'm gonna collect them all like fucking Pokemon. And like, he looked at Hitler like this black sun in the sky, and it's just like, I'm gonna turn that into a beer coaster. I'm going to turn it into more crap that I own. And the thing is his agenda is every bit as genocidal and horrifying as Hitler's. He will absolutely pay money and sign off on policies that are going to kill billions of people, but it won't even be because of any deep, traumatized vision of racial purity. The side Hitler book he has, Mein Kampf, that means my struggle. This bitch has never struggled 1 minute of his life. He's a fucking real estate billionaire whose dad gave him his fucking empire. And now he just uses the money to hang out with cool. He's like a guy who, if he didn't have any more money, he would be one of those guys who goes to Politicon or whatever that thing is. Remember that incredibly depressing convention we've talked about going to? I think we got invited to it once. I don't know if they still do it. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where, like all of your stars from the news are there. He would be there if he didn't have $1 billion to just have them come to his house. Like, that's it. Like that to me, that is so much more bone chilling That like there is no great apocalyptic demonic spirit animating this guy with all the power he has. It's just an incredibly banal American real estate dickhead who just like, I got Hitler's mug that I drink out of sometime. Yeah, you know all that stuff that happened, and now it is literally just souvenirs. I live in a giant souvenir shop of the 20th century.
Yeah, the extent of this guy's study of Hitler, it's not like he's one of those guys who's like into the sun and rod and like knows all the ceremonies for summoning Santa Claus, or like is going to conduct an Order of Nine Angles ritual to find Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's nose, any of the real Nazi esoterica. The extent of his Nazi and Hitler knowledge is, you know, either those airport books that are like Hitler, the most evil man.
Yeah.
Or like the evil Air Force inside the Nazis' planes.
Yeah.
Or, you know, those History Channel shows that are like Hitler, coffeeholic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everyone's like, who would have this in their house? I hate to break it to you. Most of your dads and granddads, if they had that kind of money, would absolutely have a signed Mein Kampf, would absolutely have Hitler's China in their house because it'd be neat.
Yeah, I mean, like, to your point, Matt, about like this Dallas, like, you know, scion of like the biggest landlord in the country or whatever, is like the end point of history, and like all of the horrors of the 20th century, be they like, you know, communist or fascist authoritarianism and tyranny and the killing fields of Eastern Europe or Auschwitz or whatever, that like he is the inheritor and beneficiary of all of this. And it's like, I think he collects these artifacts of powerful men throughout history because he's like, by owning Winston Churchill's pipe, I can become him. Like that there are totems of power that I can sort of like appropriate for myself, and like if I keep it in my house, that like, you know, like I am the sum total of the 20th century.
It's the opposite, I think. It's not taking their power, it's destroying their power. They have no power. I own their shit. They have been turned into commodities that I can just buy and have in my house. They are nothing. I am everything. And all I am is just a vacant consumer robot. And with $1 billion and control of the Supreme Court.
It reminds me of there was this article, this profile of Dana White in like ESPN or Magazine or Sports Illustrated, and it took note that he had in his office, among other things, like a suit of armor and a samurai sword. There were 2 Colt 45 pistols, one with the Old Testament engraved on the handle and one with the New Testament engraved on the handle. And Dana White isn't. Yeah, Dana White isn't like religious, just like this guy isn't a Nazi. He's just so fucking stupid. He's like, this was actually the gun that Moses owned, and that now I get to buy Moses. It's the same thing. It's the same tackiness.
These are the guns that Moses dual weld in the desert.
Yeah, these are the guns that were passed down from Abraham to Moses to the Boondock Saints. And then Harvey Weinstein bought them from the Boondock Saints after Troy Duffy's bar closed. Now I have them.
I actually, you know, people don't know this, but I actually have glassware from Troy Duffy's bar in my house, you know, just to remind me of the evils of the 20th century.
Yeah, I have the Broods LP on wax to remind me of the good parts of the 20th century.
Okay, just I mean, like, look, I don't think it's all non-ideological, because I think a telling detail.
He's a reactionary, but like there's nothing behind it.
Okay, but
like, people want there to be big ideas, so that implies that there's other big ideas that are in conflict with it. There's nothing. There's no ideas anywhere. There's just these shell people on top of money, and the money does all the work. And they get to pretend they're in charge. And it's like we talked about with fucking Clarence Thomas. He's going to rule this way anyway. Like, this is all just, they're along for the ride. And they're lucky enough to be in the catbird seat to be able to buy to be able to buy Hitler's cocaine spoon and meet all their cool friends from the news. And that's it. Meanwhile, like, the world is being drained of its fucking life force and turned into a giant pile of dead commodities.
I think it's of note, though, that like to contrast the Garden of Evil, which contains like real statues, like secreted out of like former Soviet countries of like Stalin or Lenin or Tito's Yugoslavia or Che Guevara or whatever. Like, that's in his Garden of Eden. But in his home, where like he displays Hitler's paintings in a room without any context alongside works by Renoir, Norman Rockwell, and George W. Bush.
Okay.
So I think that speaks to something about whether like the evil that he keeps in his house versus what he segregates in the Garden of Eden.
I actually know what that. I know exactly what that speaks to. If you've seen Hitler's paintings, they're like very shitty attempts at like realistic drawings of castles that he saw. Yeah, exactly, hotel art. And it is Hitler's art is actually like a great insight into the reactionary mind because it is to this day what reactionaries think like good art should be. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, oh, that's a great picture of a castle. It looks just like it.
Yep. Nothing woke about that.
Yeah, it should just be
picture
like,
of a castle.
Yeah, like, it should just be like nice pictures of cool buildings from history, and they're good because they're old. Like that is the full extent of reactionary art. And he probably like someone like in his foundation probably bought Hitler's art as like a tax write-off and figured he'd like it because he has so much goofy Nazi shit. Like he has Hermann Goering's bedpan and everything, or Himmler's Lupe Fiasco glasses, and but he probably just saw it and was like, "That's a great painting of a castle. Can we sponsor this young artist? Can we give this whoever painted this? Can we give them the Harlan Crow scholarship for fine art?"
If I was going to get a piece of Nazi memorabilia, I would want Himmler's little Millhouse glasses.
Yeah, those are good.
Which is why, by the way, by Paul Verhoeven cast, what's his name, Kurtwood Smith as Boddicker in RoboCop, is because his glasses reminded him of Himmler.
I would, I think the best memorabilia, the best Nazi for memorabilia is Goering. Goering had like he lived like the fullest life out of any of the Nazi high command.
Fighter pilot.
He was the first guy. I think in modern history, he was the first guy who was known as being really handsome and then got really fat. Mm-hmm. He was sort of the blueprint for like Val Kilmer or Marlon Brando.
Yep. I'd like his like morphine kit, like his little works that he carried around with him. That would be fun.
My favorite detail about Goering is they weaned him off of morphine for his trial and then sentenced him to death. And then he killed himself before. Like, it's just a series of people doing unnecessary things.
Well, it's like how they Tojo tried to kill himself, and they stitched him up so that they could execute him.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's like they want to die in their own terms versus, like Himmler or Goering wanted them to do a firing squad like a soldier, and they're like, no, we're gonna hang you fatly, and he was like, oh, I'll show you a stupid death.
I'm going to tell some hayseed from Ohio how cool I think he is, and he's going to slip me some prussic acid to bite down on.
I always wonder about that. How did the dumbass guard get cyanide for him?
There's probably a lot of it. All the like guys in the OSS was like corralling for Project Paperclip. Probably like, I thought I was going to have to use this. Whew, then I saw you guys.
That was the start of the freaking movement. Was soldiers dumpster diving for cyanide capsules?
Discarded cyanide pills.
Yeah.
I appreciate all of the like very heavy-handed defenses of this idiot. I mean, and like, by the way, like that's how you know all of these guys are on the payroll is because like they're defending this guy when it is like deeply humiliating to do so. And they're not just saying, look, he's a rich idiot who thinks this shit is cool. They're saying, no, he needs to have all this stuff in a private residence so that we can understand, like the evil that we have overcome in the 20th century. It's just like, read a fucking book, or donate it to a museum. Like, what the fuck? Like, why do you need to have this shit in your house? And then like he's clearly doing it to like impress his guests and shit like that. Like that is
they're in the fight. They can't just say like, look, he has nothing in his head. He's a hollow man because they have to be invited to his giant fireplace so that they can talk about entrepreneurship and skull sizes after they've had a few extra sherries.
Also, I mean, I like that this story has sort of reintroduced Charles Murray to the news cycle, who dedicated not one but two books that are all titled like "The Hierarchy of Race: A Genetic Destiny of Humanity" to Harlan Crow. And Harlan Crow also has a painting by the photorealistic painting of him hanging out with Charles Murray.
God, those paintings suck dick.
They're terrible.
That's like sub-McNaughton
back
art.
to the Hitler painting thing. He's just a fan of terrible art.
Yeah.
Did you see
Terrible
what
but representational art.
Did you see what Charles Murray wrote in like one of those books? It's called like the multicultural typhoon or one of those like one of those late period Murray books where he's just kind of phoning it in. He wrote something so fucking lame. Like he had clearly just watched Stand By Me or one of those movies. It was to Charles Krauthammer and Harlan Crow. It turns out I did have brothers after all. It's like you're a 97-year-old who is in the Phoenix program.
Yeah, he was.
What the fuck is this? Are you like leaving summer camp? Like what the fuck is this?
It sort of reminds me of like Mark Sanford when he had that affair and wrote those sappy saccharine love letters, and it just seemed to me like this is a guy in his late 50s or whatever who is experiencing like romantic love for the first time in his life. And I think guys like Charles Murray who have been doing, burning crosses straight to the Phoenix program, to the, skull science division of the conservative intelligentsia sphere, is just, has a summer camp friends for the first time in his life at 80 years old.
Yeah. And they're fucking...
Their wheels Krauthammer.
My two cool brothers that we go on mischief sprees together. We have shenanigans. Me, Charles Krauthammer, and Harlan Crow.
We'll go to a Walmart parking lot and we'll throw Charlie into one of the shopping carts and just zoom him into a fucking minivan. Jackass style. I love that Charles Murray also said, it's everyone who's criticizing Harlan Crow thinking coming is they don't know him. Everyone who knows him thinks it's great. I'm sorry. When you're a billionaire, that will never fly because literally everyone who knows you wants something from you. So it's like, hey, these guys who are like going to his house with like a bucket hoping he'll like absentmindedly drop some Krugerrands in there think he's a great guy.
Yeah. Literally everyone who defended him has worked in an organization single-handedly funded by him for the last 30 years. Did you see
including the Supreme Court?
Yeah. Did anyone happen to see the revelation that Hakeem Jeffries went to
yes.
He went to a Harlan Crow turn-up function.
Okay, did you get this detail? Do you know where he was feted by Harlan Crow?
No, where?
At the Harlan Crow office complex, which is Dallas's Parkland Memorial Hospital.
My God.
Is another historic property in the Crow portfolio.
I guess JFK's brain is also part of his collection.
Could be.
Oh, his brother's a human trafficker, apparently?
Yeah, one of his brothers. Okay, I was going to get into this because his brother, his older brother, Robert Crow, there's a great Texas Monthly piece about his divorce from an actress. And this is a real Goofus and Gallant story about billionaires. It's like the Goofus Harlan Crow spends his money on Hitler's teapot and Winston Churchill's pipe or whatever. The gallant Robert Crow spends $1.7 million a month freebasing cocaine and hiring high-class escorts from Heidi Fleiss's like pimp or mentor. The stories in the bits in the wife Amelia says this is from the Texas Monthly piece. Amelia finds herself slogging through the crowded divorce docket. 13 judges preside in this court where 25,000 family law cases are filed each year, fighting Bob Crow for money to continue her $140,000 a month lifestyle. The Crow divorce is a nasty war. Amelia claims that Bob is a cocaine addict who has threatened to kill her and himself and spends thousands of dollars a week hiring expensive prostitutes from Alex Adams, also known as Madam Alex, which is mentioned in Molly Lambert's Heidi World, who has been charged with pandering and pimping by the Los Angeles district attorney. Bob's side of it is that Amelia married him only for his money. He has accused her of sleeping with many men, including one of the actors in Judgment. There's another really great... I don't know the movie.
That sounds like a Paramount Plus show to me. I'm looking it up.
Another detail in the piece is, in May 1989, Crow hired his own security guard, Dwayne Cochran, a former professional bounty hunter, to follow Amelia and obtain information about her social life. Cochran said in a statement that Crow asked him to tap Amelia's telephone and to place a tracking device on her car. But he never did those things because Bob Crow was intoxicated when he issued the instructions, and Cochran wasn't sure he actually meant what he said. Cochran also testified that he had witnessed Bob freebasing cocaine. Cochran bought Bob several weapons, including a street sweeper, a 12-gauge shotgun used for rapid fire of large bullets, as well as a blowgun and grappling hook. I'm trying to imagine this fat fucking cokehead shooting a grappling hook up the side of like a wall and then climbing it like Adam West as Batman. Because this here, in court, Cochran described fantastic schemes that Bob had devised to hurt Amelia. Once Bob talked about taking a photograph of a nude woman in front of a helicopter and superimposing Amelia's face on it and then circulating the photo around Los Angeles to damage her reputation. That is amazing cokehead thinking. That is amazing cokehead logic.
Wait, why the helicopter? Does it ever explain
I have no
why
idea.
the helicopter is important?
I have no idea.
I think, once again, because it's pretty cool, helicopters are inherently cool. Might be the coolest form of transportation.
How old is the cokehead Crow?
He was pretty old at this point.
Yeah, he's actually incredibly like the Justified Crows.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
if Dewey Crow actually got $1 billion.
Yeah.
It says here, in his written declaration, Cochran described overhearing a conversation in which Bob discussed kidnapping Amelia and taking her to a remote ranch so that he could get to her whenever he wanted to have her. Cochran testified that Bob often was just blabbering, and that while he didn't take Bob's threats seriously, I was worried that other people in the room might take it seriously. He also... like in divorce documents or something, like there's something about like a contract that he tried to get his ex-wife to sign to fuck him 50 times a week. See, this is billionaire excellence. Like this is what you do when you have 0 brain cells and like $10 billion.
Yep. Just absolutely fucking shred your pleasure centers, annihilate. I love how like every week that just another one of these freak families just pops out of the woodwork, and you're like, oh yeah, these are the people who actually are able to command influence somewhere. It's awesome, and you don't even know. We don't even know a fraction of them. There are probably a few that are, have it better enough, a good enough OPSEC to completely stay off the radar. I mean, this guy's been like running around doing grappling hook stunts on a helicopter, and we never heard of him before now.
Oh, so there are 6 children of Trammell Crow Sr., and I presume this to be the youngest one. Stuart Crow, born in 1959, is a Formula 3 driver. What the fuck is Formula 3? Millhouse ass Racing League. It's actually better than Formula 1.
Yeah,
Formula 3 is Mario Kart. It's a Mario Kart tournament.
The fundamentals are more important in Formula 3. It's not all about the engine. The driver really shines.
Yeah,
it's a go-kart, sure, but they're very competitive races.
This is the NCAA Division 2 of Formula Racing.
NITS, fucking race car driver.
So Stuart Crow won the Princess Peach Cup after expertly deploying the blue shell to take the lead at the end of the race.
He hasn't competed in Formula 3 since 2000. He couldn't even have his own Formula 3 team. He just raced for Dave McMillan all these times.
Sad.
Well, Harlan Crow. But yeah, like it's once again to reiterate, nothing about Clarence Thomas's relationship with this guy is going to affect his position on the court. The only thing that will affect his position on the court is if he dies, hopefully sometime soon. And he's just about the only one of those guys that is at risk of.
He's got the same basic shape as Scalia did, and he's getting up there. He's like in his late 70s now, so any day Obama's ninjas are going to show up and suffocate him like they did to.
Well, that's what I said. Like, I think like he should be encouraged to spend more time with this guy and go on more vacations and sip brandy and smoke cigars.
I think that he should hang out with the other brother. Honestly,
yes.
I don't know if Clarence have to do crack for the first time at 76 and see what happens.
Oh yeah, like Harlan or Trammell Jr. is sort of like an Uncle Buck figure. I do like the idea. I do like the idea of Biden like being sort of instrumental in getting Clarence Thomas in there, and then presiding over his replacement when he dies of old age. That's sort
would
of
be fitting.
That's sort of the
Full circle, be poetic.
Or being unable to fill the seat left by Thomas because of Mitch McConnell from his hospital crypt prevents.
Is he dead?
Yeah, what the hell? Has he been
Is
seen
he
in
dead
public?
yet?
I haven't heard.
Did he fall
about him
down
being
the
seen in
fell
public.
down the stairs last week or something?
It was a couple weeks ago now, and I don't know. I haven't heard of him since then. I haven't seen him being in public.
He's certainly not made out of the same shit as Chuck Grassley. He's much more feeble.
He will live eternally.
I remember in like 2017, there's a picture of him, sort of that part of the Senate where they always hold press conferences, and his hands were like dark purple. It looked like
horrifying.
Yeah, it looked like someone who had been doing like the least subtle elder abuse ever to him.
Well, prayers up for Mitch McConnell. You know, Harlan Crow has just sent him a get well soon present of a cigarette case once owned by Joseph Goebbels. Yeah, I guess like the other thing, the other thing I've been thinking about all week long is thanks to you, Felix. I've been obsessed with that guy you found who says that who had the bright idea to make T-shirts making fun of Bud Light that people could wear to bars to signal their displeasure with Bud Light.
Yeah,
the Bud Light boycott is really funny to me. It's one of the better conservative consumer culture boycotts we've had recently. And I love the guy who wants to make satirical Bud Light T-shirts and wear them to bars.
it took that guy a while to get there because he was sort of brainstorming through that. He started out with like, oh, how about this, conservatives? Let's go to bars and tell them that Bud Light is trans. Just go up to strangers and talk about that. And then I think like 10 minutes later, he realized like, oh, wait, that's why we've like lost a bunch of elections recently. Okay, how about a T-shirt that says, so it was something about, it was Bud Wiener. Which just like, if you don't know what this is, which I presume most people don't, you would just be like, what? Okay.
Does this guy want to suck my dick? What is this?
Bud Light hanky code. But I mean, like, I particularly like the idea of a like a beer boycott, because like beer is like a perfect example about how like basically every beverage you could possibly buy or not buy is owned by about 3 companies.
Yeah.
So there is no way it's just like, oh, I'm forsaking all Anheuser-Busch products in favor of this patriotic beer. It's like owned by the same Belgian conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have no fucking clue who that Dylan Mulvaney person is were it not for like all of these people getting angry at her. I've never seen this person before, would never consider them. I have no idea what it's about.
TikTok?
There you go.
TikTok people are now getting sponsorships?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not on my watch, sister. No, thank you. Stay over there.
I saw that Matt Walsh like did a thread about this where he sort of like 3 posts in kind of like completely defeats the movement by going like, look, we can't harm most of these companies or really any of them unless we just target one and only one. Then we can make an example out of that one and then move on to the next, which is like, okay, if you've said that you can't do it to most of them or all of them, then you've already like stuffed this movement out. I mean, that's not even considering that every company who's, going woke and going broke has probably already like, they've already been through this and they've already figured out like how many people they lose versus how many people they gain or retain. And it's factored in already.
I mean, yeah, there's no way a company of this size did not have all of this crunched, all these numbers crunched before they decided to go with that campaign. They're not going to be surprised. And the thing I think that they've all realized by now is that no boycott can ever be sustained, not just because of the difficulty of wrangling people together to do it when everyone's just, responding to social media stimuli. But there's no way that you can keep people's attention focused on one thing that long. There's always new shit coming down the pipe that people are going to care about more because it happened more recently. and you can't sustain the campaign because you can't sustain the story, because eventually it's just another dead fact that we drain of any juice, and then we got to run to the next one. So they really don't have to worry about that at all for anything, like any kind of boycott from any side. At least I would imagine they figure that out by now.
And even, I mean, that would be true if there were actual genuine energy behind the boycott. But this just seems all very half-hearted and lost. It seems like
I've seen barely any videos of people destroying Bud Light.
Well, Kid Rock was the only that had the main one where he was shooting up some cases of Bud Light. But even that seemed very, very half-hearted. Sort of like all these things. It's just this feeling of everyone's just kind of going through the motions. It's this like pantomime, robotic response to get the pellet that gives you the good brain feeling.
A little bit. Just move the chemicals through your brain just for another day.
Yeah.
Stop. Just get that sluggish river of dopamine moving.
Well, the conservative movement in America does seem particularly sluggish and lost in a way that I don't think I've seen it in my lifetime. They seem to like not know why they won when they won and not know why they're losing now. They seem completely lost and just fatigued.
Well, I think one thing they really didn't assimilate enough is to what degree their victories were structurally enforced by, constitutional, like the constitutional settlement and the apportionment of political power, and they mistook that for a popularity that they got intoxicated by, the prospect of being not just in power, which who cares, but popular. And they got so excited about that. They thought, oh, there's this new median, public median that we are now going to embody instead of being alienated from. And it turns out, no, you're fucking weird, man. People are freaked out by you.
As example of this malaise that you guys are diagnosing, I was wondering if you saw today this baffling thing on Twitter where like Daily Wire guys or all these like right-wing guys were posting photos of themselves as like toddlers, and they were saying, when you call me an alt-right fascist, this is who you are speaking to. And it's a photo of them as a kid. And I was just wondering, what the fuck is the point of this? Like, I was a small child once.
Yeah.
Like, it could be said of everyone. And also, even funnier, in the case of Roger Stone kicking this off, the photo of him as a child is like radiates palpable evil.
Yeah.
like terrifyingly, like awful vibes come just fucking wafting off of that. You can feel it through the fucking screen of your computer.
Yeah, for half of these photos, for guy like Michael Knowles' picture too, a lot of them are dressed like if Paddington was a Nazi. Like they're just horrifying Damien children.
Really weird. But as long as we were talking about Matt Walsh, I was wondering if you guys saw the other week, people were sharing it. It was a clip of Matt Walsh's Daily Wire show. And it was shared, and it was like, Matt Walsh defends slavery. And like having been sort of familiar with this genre, I thought I could predict where it was going to go, because he was sort of like, I don't know, like either it would be about like African Americans are currently better off than people who were, weren't, whose ancestors weren't stolen from Africa and sent across the Atlantic, or that slavery contributed to like the process that built the wealth of America, blah, blah, blah. But no, actually the line he went with was that if slavery in the Western Hemisphere didn't exist, like through a sort of butterfly flaps its wings concoction of events, then like there's a chance that I wouldn't exist, which is just about the weirdest. I could not have predicted that was where he was going, because it was sort of like, well, like if the Holocaust never happened, like I might not exist either. I mean, you could say that about any historical event.
Is he saying that like it's like a Steve Martin and the Jerk type thing?
How so?
He's saying he's descended from slaves.
That was porn up.
We are. I mean,
no, he's just saying that like
of slavery, all of us.
Yeah. I mean, he was just saying that like if major world events shook out differently, then like there's a chance that your parents never would have met and that you wouldn't exist.
That's such a great argument, because then like nothing that's ever happened was bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everything was good. Everything before your birth was good because it led to this
I
point.
mean, that is the narcissistic endpoint. That's why Harlan fucking Crow could just blithely collect all these trinkets from the horrors of the 20th century. It's because, that stuff was all bad, but it's okay because it led to me.
I guess that's the end point of American Calvinism.
Yeah. Like, all that stuff, all that Sturm und Drang, all that blood, all that horror, it's all been redeemed because it produced me.
And like also it means that like anything currently going on in the world that you consider an atrocity or evil is like, who can say? Because I don't know, like in another generation, it could produce like, the next you or someone better than you. So who's to judge? Who can judge?
Indeed.
So I know we've talked about this a bunch recently on the show about like how absolutely fucked Ron DeSantis is, but like thanks to the Washington Post, we now have a news article highlighting some of the internal DeSantis machinations about him attacking or not attacking Trump to really underscore everything we've said thus far. But it's just basically about how like he has no idea what to do or how to respond to Trump's indictment, and that he feels like that the fact that like people in his inner circle were like taken aback and caught off guard by how quickly Donald Trump attacked him, and then just basically didn't know what to do or what to say. It says here, asked about the case at a news conference on March 20th, 2 days after a Trump advisor criticized his radio silence, DeSantis accused the prosecutor of pursuing a political agenda against Trump, echoing many others in the party. But he also noted the allegations of porn star hush money at the center of the case, seeking to put a spotlight on Trump's personal conduct and show he was not going to be bullied by the ex-president, one of the people said. I mean, I guess like not too much more to say about this, but Ron is thinking it up really badly.
I was thinking about how like, damn, dude, like why don't you wait? But he can't wait. He's fucked.
I mean, I guess we're learning that there are very few good, if any, Republican hatchet men or strategists. But the thing that struck me was that DeSantis' team was surprised that Trump hit back so early.
Seriously, what the fuck? The only thing that you know about this guy is that the first perceived disloyalty, not doing exactly what he wants, which in a case of a guy like DeSantis is not tell people that you might run against him, is to go fucking all guns, total destruction mode instantly. That's all he's ever done. It's like, no, he's not going to do that to me, little old Ronnie DeSantis.
He's feuding with like 3/4 of his former cabinet and their replacements and his former vice president.
He's going to make an exception, though, for Ron. He's not going to come out guns blazing against him.
Yeah. I mean, talk about, there are no more James Bakers. Is there like a single good Republican strategist? Maybe some Team Mitch people. That's all I could think of.
I mean, it was like they were in 2016. They were out of ideas. They were as out of ideas as the fucking Democrats were. Trump's saved them. Trump came in and was able to be this incredibly entertaining figure who could transcend the dull sterility of two-party politics, get people's eyeballs vested who wouldn't otherwise be, give people who have written off the Republicans a chance to give them a fresh look. And he was able to flip those red Rust Belt states with vague gestures towards protectionism. And that formula gave them an extension on life that they've been frantically trying to organize around, but none of them really got that it was just him.
Yeah. It was just him, and then all the messages that they could read into about Trump's style of messaging or anything, they've just completely avoided it. I mean, it's totally forgotten now, but in 2016, one big factor in Trump winning independents, you could call it stupid. I mean, sure, like most of the reasons that independents flip are stupid, whether they're flipping to Obama because they think he represents a genuine sea change, or this, which is Trump won a lot of people over because they thought that he was more moderate than Hillary. You can argue against that, but that was the perception. The lanyard freaks of the Republican Party have seemed to take in the lessons of Trump as being like, no, you have to be as out there as possible. You have to get rid of Roe versus Wade. You have to do all these incredibly unpopular things, and
Juice the base.
yeah, they like we said, they don't understand why they've won when they have.
Yeah.
You got to own the libs and you got to have swag.
Well, Trump,
And you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
swag cannot be the game is to be sold, not told. You know, it can't be taught.
well,
So you got it, you don't.
I mean, Trump is like genuinely funny, and he's not like a normal person. People obviously don't relate to him in a
All right,
normal
let me-
way.
Hold on,
you
can I
know?
push back slightly on that?
Like, but it is.
He might be, honestly, for the standpoint of normality, he might be perhaps our most normal president.
But like, yeah, like no one. I don't think there is any Republican who could capture like the kind of spectacle that
Yeah.
he puts out there.
Yeah, they just have the policies unadorned, and the policies unadorned are spectacularly unpopular, and there's just no way around that.
Yeah. So what they have is just like this misinterpretation of his success, which is, yeah, you have to act crazy all the time. And I mean, if you look at like in 2018 or the special elections before that or 2020, that wasn't successful for Trump even, but they're still doing all the like Bush era stuff where of like, you know, actually similar to the Democratic playbook of like, put on this Carhartt jacket that every Republican candidate has shared since 1996. And, you know, the result is completely underwhelming, as we're saying.
The Carhartt jacket, but I don't know, like, have you guys seen, like, it's with Democratic and Republican governors now? Like, was it the guy, there was that shooting in Kentucky today, and the governor of Kentucky was there. All governors, they all have that, like, fleece vest with, like, some sort of, like, an emblem or badge on it, or, like, some sort of quarter zip fleece that was some sort of official governor logo on it. It's the uniform now of all governors. And they're wearing a tie under it, but it's sort of like, you know, this governor casual look that's being promoted these days. And I think it's trash.
Well,
I think they look like shit.
the vest in general is a professional uniform now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that they are responding to this constructively from their point of view is at the state level, where wherever they have power, they're just doubling down on structurally reaffirming it and buckling down and like throwing people out of the fucking state legislature and whatnot.
Tennessee,
doing whatever they can get away with. And so, yeah, that's why, yeah, federalism's coming back, baby. I mean, look what's going on with the abortion pill getting struck down nationwide by some Looney Tune Republican judge, and you got the Democratic governors saying that they're going to fucking nullify.
I mean, yeah, like, yes, please. As Stalin said of the Vatican, how many divisions does the Pope control? The Supreme Court is our Vatican. Like, enforce your own laws, asshole.
Well, they have an army in the sense that they're counting on a night at the museum type event happening at Harlan Crow's house. Yeah.
Harlan Crow owns a division of vintage Panzers.
Yeah.
He loves them.
Yeah,
He's got like a whole terracotta army underneath Hagrid's groundkeeper stuff.
Hogwarts and Luftwaffe are back, and they're fighting against woke.
It's like bed knobs and broomsticks. It's like
another funny thing that happened this week. I know you guys saw this. Was it the ADL getting mad at protesters in Israel for comparing Netanyahu to a pharaoh? And they
Yeah.
were like on Passover weekend, no less. And it's just so
Classless,
funny.
utterly
Yeah,
classless.
that's classic. Like, it's just they only have one move, really. That's
Yeah.
really it. And I love that they describe the pharaoh as as an enemy of the Jews. It's like, what, 5,000 years ago? What the fuck? It's
Yeah.
not like, they're not talking about Hezbollah now. Like, you know?
Yeah, I guess that brings up bad memories of Prince of Egypt for the Jewish people. And it's also like, so, okay, like if you're doing that
when Jeff Goldblum was Moses.
Yeah. If you're doing that in Israel at this point, like, then like the only Benjamin Netanyahu and his immediate family, they're the only people who aren't anti-Semitic in the entire world. That's the rate we're going at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even like the anti-Netanyahu movement is like a peace-loving anti-occupation movement.
Fuck no.
It's like demanding enfranchisement for all Arabs. No.
Good stuff though. But look, as long as we're talking Hitler today, there were some. The LA Times has some funny details about Kanye West's loony fucking school that he was running for a while there, the Donda Academy. Some former teachers are suing him, as you might imagine. But in the lawsuit, there are some funny details about the curriculum and sort of style of education being offered at Kanye's school. In addition to not teaching the Holocaust as part of the curriculum, I like this detail. The school did not have janitorial services, with West barring the use of cleaning products with chemicals or proper trash cans, according to the complaint. Teachers were only allowed to clean with acid water and microfiber cloths. That
acid water? What the fuck is that?
What the fuck is acid water? Just like a watered down acid? Like it's just a few drops of acid in water?
I guess, yeah. How do you know? Do you know that that's not an even better way to clean things? That might make them more disinfected. You're believing what the mainstream media tells you about cleanliness? Interesting.
The school also lacked a school nurse and medical supplies, and medications were stored improperly. One student's EpiPen to treat allergic reaction was just stowed above a microwave, the plaintiffs allege. I gather that that's bad for the EpiPen if you microwave it.
No, you get superpowers off that shit.
Yeah, he was trying to start Charles Xavier's Academy for New Mutants.
Yeah, fucking totally ungrateful here.
This article made me think about how like Kanye doesn't have it together enough to do a Jim Jones type thing. He lacks the organizational skills.
Yeah, he could never keep that many people together that long. In the fucking jungle, no way. He couldn't even do it in like Beverly Hills with with concierge service. What's he up to these days? Yeah, we haven't heard anything from old Kanye in a while. Did they just put him in? Did they put him away? Is he like?
Well, he said that he's not anti-Semitic anymore because he saw Jonah Hill's performance in 21 Jump Street, and he says he's no longer mad at the Jews.
Yeah, no.
Did his evil Jewish trainer actually 5150 him? Did that happen?
I mean, maybe. Like as Will pointed out, he said that he's no longer anti-Semitic because of watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street.
I mean. Again, though, that was what, an Instagram post? Anybody could have made that.
I mean, if I had to guess, it would be that he's on the depressive side of manic depressive right now.
Right, yeah.
Because
on the downswing of the wheel.
Yeah, he was on a spree of doing like 50 podcasts a day where he says that like Hitler invented the iPod and the Zune, and just just this ridiculous outpouring of energy that you can only get by being incredibly mentally ill and a cocaine addict. I mean, like he started a school, there you go. And now, I mean, maybe 5150 probably just just burned out and lethargic.
Yeah. Just hanging out, eating Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. Rumor has it though, that he is in seclusion recording a secret album that's going to be a masterpiece. He's recording it in the studio underneath the Hagrid's shack at the Harlan Crow residence. He's cooking up something fantastic. The Harlan Crow Kanye collab is going to be absolute fire. Sorry, just a few more details. It says here, as for nutrition, Donda Academy students were fed sushi and only sushi every day at school and were made to eat lunch on the floor as the school did not have tables, the plaintiff alleged. he doesn't, okay, there's no nurse, lunch tables, or cleaning products or janitors in the Donda Academy. I would love to interview any parent who sent their kid to this school. Because they were just probably were like, oh, Kanye has a school. That's awesome. Can't wait to send my kid there.
Well, was the academic side of it was that good?
Yeah, we don't know.
It was DJ Academics, actually. That was the curriculum. Also, students were required to dress entirely in black, and they were restricted to the first floor of the building because the complaint alleges West is afraid of stairs. Now, Felix, I know you can relate or not to relate as someone for whom stairs were a big part of their childhood.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we found the root of all of Kanye's problems. His childhood lacked stairs. He either grew up in an apartment building or the most evil invention ever in the history of mankind, the ranch-style home.
Ugh. Donda Academy. Sorry, I'm still struck by your the idea of a night at the museum style situation happening in Harlan Crow's house.
That would
be like, get Ben Stiller on the line now. That would be so good. I'm also returning to the idea of having a room in which you display the art of, like, in progression, Norman Rockwell, Adolf Hitler, and George W. Bush, because I think that's actually really smart and interesting curation to show the evolution of a certain artistic style and mindset.
Yeah.
It would be, but it's like, unfortunately, the extent of that curation is just he thinks all of those paintings are good.
Yep.
his evaluation of paintings is like, wow, that really looks like the guy. Wow. Well, I feel like I'm right in front of the building.
I mean, hence the painting of him and Clarence Thomas that just looks like a photo, and they're just like having cigars with Du Bois.
This guy, he would have loved Chuck Close. I mean, Chuck Close's art was much more interesting, but like the extent of his appreciation would be that it's photorealistic.
Yeah,
and
it's soothing. If things don't look like immediately a recognizable thing, you start getting a little antsy, a little sweaty, a little anxious. Like, what is this? What am I looking at? And then the not knowing it, not giving you that information, just creates this horrifying void that you can't contemplate. You have to run away from as quickly as possible.
And like someone shared the other art by the guy who did the photorealistic paintings, and I swear to God, he has a photorealistic portrait of Alan Partridge, which I would be proud to display in my home museum. I mean, that would be a conversation piece. I'd have this is Alan Partridge's blazer from Knowing Me, Knowing You, next to Hitler's Luger that he shot himself with. That would make sense. But also, like, he does paintings of like a classic cherry red Cadillac convertible looking out over a New York skyline being driven by two donuts. Like, that's the kind of art. Like,
that's a little too abstract for my taste.
Yeah,
that's not. That's sort of like
cars.
Yeah,
I could not see donuts behind the wheel of a vehicle if I looked out my window. So I'm gonna have a panic attack right now. I'm gonna call my my Blackwater guys in here, and they're gonna fucking just shoot this painting.
And I guess just one last thing that's been kicking around my head ever since Felix shared it, and I can't stop thinking about it. Felix, the video of Boozy requesting a child with a wide neck to be in his movie.
Yeah,
and putting out the call for, like, send me a photo of your boy's neck because I need a wide neck to be in my movie.
If people don't have the pleasure of following Boozy, and it's hard because he does, like, get banned a lot. He is always, like, just rifling through Instagram accounts. The best part about following him is the requests he puts out. He's always putting out very weird requests like this. Like, he wanted the wide neck child to play the child version of a character in a movie he's making, presumably who also has a wide neck as an adult, and that being his.
I would hope so.
Yeah, his most important.
Unless
feature.
The movie is about him losing the neck weight or something.
But he's always asking for stuff like this. I've seen him ask for, like, licensed barbers who can come to his house, like 5 of them.
Did he get the naked barber on the phone?
I think he would have some ideological issues with the naked barber, unfortunately. If you've seen the infamous Planet Fitness video, where he makes an impassioned plea to Dwayne Wade over guess what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's too bad because that guy can give a hell of a cut. I mean, he's a good enough barber that he doesn't even have to be nude. He just does it for the love of the nudity.
If anyone's wondering, the naked barber now has sort of a permanent residence at, yes, you guessed it, Harlan Crow's Parkland office complex.
It's an exact replica of Floyd's barber shop from the Andy Griffith Show.
Clarence Thomas has been served by the Naked Barber. Jonah Goldberg, Charles Murray, the board of directors of the American Enterprise Institute. They have all enjoyed the services of a naked barber. And there is nothing hateful about that. It is important that we contemplate an era before barbers were allowed to have clothes, and what just capitalist entrepreneurship was able to create for the world, that you could have pants on a barber. But sometimes we must solemnly consider the world before barbers were allowed to wear clothes.
Yeah, and how lucky we are that we can choose, if we want to have our barber wear pants.
We have to acknowledge that we've all fantasized about this exact situation.
Yeah.
Speaking of we've all fantasized about it. We're giving a special keep your head up champ. We're giving our first keep your head up champ to the Dalai Lama, who this week is in trouble for sucking on a boy's tongue. Everyone has made that mistake at their job. Don't let people bring you down, Your Excellency, Your Holiness. Keep going.
Yeah. Don't let them take your shine.
He released a statement about sucking this boy's tongue without.
That's
okay.
That's a mistake. What are you doing, Dalai Lama? Never apologize.
He didn't allude to sucking the tongue, though. I think it's sort of like an apology by omission. It's very clever. Probably did a similar thing.
Sorry if you were offended by some tongue action that I participated in.
Yeah, he says. A video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama if he could give him a hug. His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. Okay, you're skipping a lot of steps here. What you have in this screenshot of the Notes app doesn't really address why you should be apologizing. His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident.
He likes roasting.
This is proof that the Dalai Lama, he's lost his fastball. It's well past time for him to just like do the Yoda deal and just evaporate in his robes. What are you hanging around for? Get another Dalai Lama. They might have some new ideas. Like your idea of like chuckling next to Bono didn't work. It's okay. Next time, get back on the horse. Get back on the old samsara wheel. Get a new llama. Try some new shit. Maybe get on TikTok. But this going to Davos in a fucking robe, it didn't work. And now you're sucking children's tongues. It's like good try, good effort, but yeah, it's time to just vaporize.
They should
do it.
Like at least they should have given him like a Westbrook type deal where he's the sixth man. He
can't be carrying a team anymore.
Yeah, they should have done that after he like gave Keith Raniere a special scarf.
Oh yeah, I was not aware of that. I was not aware of that. That there are like photos of the Dalai Lama bestowing some honor on the sex cult guy who paid him a couple $1 million for the privilege. And let's be honest.
Llama.
Yeah,
Tibetan Buddhism has been on some sus shit for a while.
There's no way China's giving you back Tibet. That's the lost cause.
Yeah,
just like go away and then come back as like a gamer from like Florida or something who brings universal compassion through Twitch streams of Overwatch.
Yeah, no, I mean another huge L for Tibetan Buddhist cells. Another dub for Japanese Buddhism. They've never sucked a tongue.
It's true.
They did considerably worse in Manchuria in the 1930s.
Oh well, yeah, but that's like, I mean, every religion everyone's done some bad things, except for Hinduism. King Arthur and
never done a bad thing.
King Arthur and his entire round table, all Hindus.
Yep.
I love your new pivot to being a non-Indian, non-Hindu Baba guy, where you're just convinced by their historical analysis.
Yeah.
Richard the Lionheart was Hindu.
Yeah, look, I'm not Hindu. I'm a white man. I've never been to India. I don't like Modi. I don't like his policies. I support separation of church and state. But any Hindu man of just average piousness can shoot a fireball. It's possible.
Like, look,
I've seen it.
Yoga
I don't
flame.
understand. I don't understand how it works, and I certainly don't approve of anything that Modi is doing in India. But cow piss is my cure for cold every single time, and it works.
Yeah.
Shot of cow piss and bronchial tubes cleared instantly. You explain it.
I'm against all organized religions, but let me tell you right now, Goku was a real historical figure, and guess what? He was Hindu.
I mean,
I'm just imagining
Goku actually does resemble some of the Ashuras from like the Vedic texts.
No, Goku's not Ashura. He's a very nice man. Goku's primary characteristic is his innocence.
But sometimes he gets super pissed, and then like an entire mountain gets leveled.
Yeah, but he gets pissed because someone like harmed his friends, and he has to get pissed to find the Dragon Balls to wish the world back to normal, which I think is a pretty noble quest. We've all been through that in one form or the other.
I was just imagining now that the Dalai Lama has, found himself in a little bit of a sticky situation for sucking children's tongues on camera. I would like to see like all of the sort of like airhead liberal celebrities who love hanging out with the Dalai Lama to start defending him like Jonah Goldberg does Harlan Crow by just being like, I have been to lunch at the Dalai Lama's house many times and I have sucked a number of children's tongues in his presence. It was all in good fun. And we did it very solemnly to ponder the horrors of the Chinese conquest of the nation of Tibet.
I mean, that
please don't bring it up.
That really shows, I'm sorry, look, you can bring up some bad things the Japanese Buddhists have done. It's too complicated for people in Hollywood to sign on to it, though. You have to give them that.
And Felix, you've studied Japanese Buddhism mostly through video games.
Yeah. So here's the basic tenets that I've learned through games. Centipede, that's bad. Centipede represents rot. Flowing water, awesome. Still water, bad. Dragon,
well, I mean, everyone knows that.
Dragon, great. The dragon's practically flowing water. Dragons and rivers, they're like cousins. If you see a centipede in still water, turn your back unless you're at a high level. And that's all you got to know.
Makes sense to me. That's done.
Yeah.
That's in the books. Yeah, let's. That's the way to close out this episode. If you see a centipede in still water, flee.
Yeah.
Do not approach.
Get out of there.
Get out of there.
You're not safe.
That's bad karma.
Unless you're armed. If you see a centipede and you're armed, you have a duty to your fellow citizens to open fire. Just close your eyes.
Castle doctrine on all centipedes.
You see a
I'm
centipede.
trying to remember the last time I encountered a centipede.
Well, next time you do, just close your eyes and squeeze the trigger. Put a bump stock on. Just go crazy.
Well, anyway, I guess that does it for today's show. Till next time, guys.